It is true that um, all this technology isn't foolproof. There's toggles. There are times when you press a button and nothing happens. And is it because it's wireless or wired? Sometimes. Is it because the battery's dead? Maybe. Is there a warning that the battery is dead? No. So a lot of this is hit and miss. You need, in other words, what I'm addressing here is the replicatable concept. It has to be everything that you do routinely has to be replicatable by others. Otherwise, you're doing it is fine, but nobody else can do it. So what's the value, right? The value is just yourself. Okay, fine. But other people have to be able to do it as well. For instance, remote desktop sharing in Chrome failed. Why? No idea. It just wouldn't work, right? You press the button on screen or whatever, and on the tablet over here, my little monitor, didn't work. No explanation. Just says try again later. So what I'm saying is I wish there was an explanation. You know, if you're going to create a GUI and you're going to create an interface of some kind that says that returns a message to the user, oh, try again later. Why don't you just say why? Oh, because it takes up too much real estate. Bullpucky. Tell the user why. Don't just say come back later. It's just not good enough. Maybe back in the day it was, but not anymore. Okay, enough ranting on technology. I believe we're working, right? We're going? Yes. All right. So what we're looking at here is the getting to the point of final inventory for the Hex Command Gunpowder game at Adepticon 2024. You'll see that, oh, Terry, there's a lot of units on the table. That's correct. Why? Some of them will not be here. We always overestimate. And then that way, when we get to a convention, we have that inventory to use at will. But in this case, we're going to put out 3 brigades. And it's, yes, everything is static. I mean, it's identical. It just actually so happens the commander values are also identical. But the units are identical. There's 3 brigades of 4 regiments each. But in order to create a certain level of can't depend on commands, there's only 2 commanders. I should say there's 2 divisions on each side and 3 brigadiers. And on the opposite side, the Confederate side, it's the same thing. It's 3 brigades of 4 regiments each, 2 divisional commanders, and 3 brigadiers. So what I was alluding to was actually incorrect. Anyway, moving on. You'll also notice we have these little white sticks. These are simply something we acquired, again, from Amazon. And what they are is just plastic little pieces. I think they're for lollipops or something like that. Some candies or something. The intention here is to put the unit identifier label. For instance, this is 1, 2, 3, and 4. So you would number these 1, 2, 3, and 4. These would be put down on the table instead of the units. Why would we do that? Because it's easier, right? Just move these around until the thing fires and then reveal what it is. And, there you go. That's the intention. Now, there's enough for all the units, but there's including the artillery, by the way, down here. There's going to be some fake ones. So 3 each. Each side will be able to put at least 1 fake marker out for each brigade. How is that helpful in any way? It just creates an element, a small element of fog of war. You keep one item hidden, and the enemy doesn't see it, and they'll never know if it's real or fake. Of course, you will, because you'll mark it on the roster card or on the bottom of the thing itself that it's not real. And of course, they're plastic, so you can write on and wipe off with the red erase markers. Okay, so that's where we're at. And by the way, yes, I took the opportunity to print some more cornfields because I wanted, I'm like, yeah, it looks a little, even though it looks congested, it's kind of sparse. Maybe we'll pick up some of the trees and put down cornfields instead. Why? Because they just look nice. The cornfield just looks nice. Oh, and by the way, I was thinking about this morning in my dream state, my waking dream state. Um, Cornfields are not easy to move through, and we forget that. A tank is one thing, a battle mech is another thing, right? But infantry slogging through a cornfield that is more than, say, it's shoulder height, that it's not easy. You're not meant to do that. No, the corn itself isn't, it's not intended for you to walk through it because of its density. Cornfields are just really hard to move through. Anybody who lives in a cornfield area will tell you this. Yeah, you got to slog through because of the ruts and so on in the ground, and the fact that they're kind of painful to run into. They're sticky, like they've got barbs and stuff. The leaves are like kind of sharp, and so it's not a cover. It doesn't help you when you're in the uh, cornfield. But if you keep your flag down and hold on to the flag without revealing it, like holding it up, then nobody will know you're there until you come out of that cornfield. So, ergo, when a unit goes into the cornfield, replace it with one of these representative markers. Because technically speaking, no one should know what it is. You can guess because you just saw it, right? But at some point, maybe a commander's going to forget, hey, wait a minute, what was that unit over there? Well, I don't remember what that was. So there you go. It could be, well, it can't be cavalry uh, because you just can't navigate a horse through a cornfield. It just can't be done. Try it. So infantry in a cornfield, obviously, but you can't identify what the unit is. So pick it up and put the marker down. Well, isn't that kind of silly? You already know it's just infantry. Yeah, but you don't know if it's fake now, right? Or what? You can, let's see. Well, we'll talk about that at another time. You get the idea. When something goes into a hidden, in other words, no one can see it situation, um, you can't replace it with a fake marker. But if there's nothing next to it, nothing prevents me from judging that, yeah, you can go ahead and put a fake marker around that. And so therefore the opposite player won't know exactly which one of those markers is the actual unit. So there's that. Okay, so you'll also notice that again, like we did in the painting episode, showing some of the units, that yes, some of these were painted very quickly because we had a big battle of Pea Ridge and we needed a lot of forces because every unit is one regiment and every unit has about, 6 to 8 figures on it, usually 8 figures. So yes, we did paint them fast, and you'll notice that some of them are starting to look a little better because as I pick them up, I'm starting to improve the look and feel. How can I afford the time to do that? Well, A, Adepticon is still like 3 weeks away, and B, as soon as I touch it, I look at it and I go, hey, what can I make that a little bit better? Let's work on this guy for a minute. Take a few minutes and make it look a little better. What does that mean? Well, reduce the number of gray hats. I mean, everyone's gray, right? Well, add some more brown hats for the Rebs. And for the Union, try and just put the straps on those blankets on their packs. Same with the Rebs. Put in those white straps for the haversacks instead of the black, and then draw the black straps, I guess, or maybe change that blue to a little bit lighter blue, so it's a little like I think it's Copan blue, because the dark blue, although accurate, just hides everything, and so the only thing you see are the white stripes. And here's the other thing I was thinking about: the color of the rifles themselves, the muskets. It's too dark. And why does that matter? Because you kind of want to see those barrels, don't you? You kind of do. And if you paint them realistically, if you paint the rifles realistically, you can't see those barrels. I mean, I've held muskets over the years, right? All different kinds of muskets. And you can't see those barrels from a distance, from even 10 feet. It looks like a big brown stick. That's what it is. Except when you put a bayonet on it, now it's got a silver tip. So, because you want to see those barrels, and sometimes players will put, and I used to do this too, the straps that hold the barrel to the wood, painted up, the glossy black. Paint those barrels a lighter brown than chestnut. Or perhaps go ahead and make it a chestnut honey brown, but not like a color of a deer. So a little bit darker than that. Okay, you get the idea. Now, there's an interesting historical relevance. Austrian rifles were made from I forget where the citation comes from, but it's what I heard, what I remember reading. They were lighter color. I don't know why, don't remember why. Somebody will. They were made from different, or whatever it was in their region. So the Austrian rifles, even though they were rifled, many ball rifles of the era, 50s, 40s, and so on, they were a lighter color. But the Enfields and all the other types of rifled muskets, and even just smoothbore muskets, they were a dark wood, because that's just naturally what they were. Did they dye those? I mean, did they stain the wood when they were working on it by the thousands? Not sure. What happens in the rain to these rifled musket barrel the stocks? Do they do well? I mean, how long is it going to take before that wood starts to get affected by water? Something to think about. So they don't have plastic. Remember, there's no plastic to cover the rifles in those days. Did they cover them with fabrics? Yeah. Did they put them in crates in fabric? Yeah, they did. And did you have to clean them? Yeah. Yeah, just like any other weapon, gunpowder, whatever, grease and such, you have to take care of the weapon, make sure it's firing right. Okay, so, I mean, just curious, right? If they're stacked up and it starts to rain, do you go, maybe we should move those rifles in, inside the tent? Okay, something to think about. Anyway, so there we are with this, and I'll come back as we talk more about getting ready and putting the troops down for a little a test scenario to see how things will come out. So yes, some of the units will be arriving over time, and the initial number of troops on the field, we have no idea. It may just be random. Not so much about random location like the World War II game, but pretty much random turn of entry. And even though there's only one road per side here, well, there's actually two. There's 1, 2, and 3. We'll debate that and see how that goes.